Hello, it's me Dryzz! Are you tired of not having the right status in missions? The solution for this already exists. It's time I introduce you to one of my favorite weapons, the Hystrix. It's a sort of thing that shoots more sort of things. Well, Hystrix is an automatic secondary that shoots elemental darts, or quills. It's honestly pretty good, like it doesn't need any buff or priming to work well. Issue is, it's single target, and it got a small mag. Once again, I'll show some of my builds, including an equity one as always. Anyway, let's jump in. Okay, so it has a special effect. When you're in game, you start with innate toxin status and damage added to your mods. It doesn't mix with them though. And it has a forced status proc too. It doesn't ruin status waiting. Now, the best part, when you press your add fire button, it will cycle between 4 status. Toxin, then heat, then elect, then cold. They all work like the toxin part I mentioned, meaning you can easily build for viral heat without actually having heat mods. Or you can have 2 base elements, like cold and heat, without them mixing. Now, for the more general stuff, it has acceptable base stats in general. 20% status chance, 2.2 crit damage multiplier, 28% crit chance, 7 fire rate, but sadly a 0.9 Riven dispo and a slow reload speed compared to its max lifespan. Each quill has its stats region, but they all have the same stats. It only has a normal version and a prime. Build time. Once again I'm running a Riven, but you can run any cold mod instead. Gun will still work. Another thing, if you could get a Riven with neg puncture, that would be epic since it has a really high base puncture, making it annoying to apply viral. First one is a classic viral hit build with some crits. You don't need the hit mod if you choose the hit as innate element, but it's a brain mod so it does add a bunch of damage, and you can use the innate toxin to have both dots. There's a couple variants for this build. If you now run innate hit, then you can replace primed hit at charge with primed quick draw if you hate the reload speed. You can also replace flare with deadhead if you aim for the head. It's slightly worse, but it still works well. Though if you don't run hit at all, you'll have to. Well, you can run other arcanes, like Merciless for the reload speed and Dexterity for melee focused gameplay. You can use these tricks as a pretty good primer. Like you can cover Rad, Koro, Magn, Blast, Cold, Heat, Elec, and Toxin by just using the alt, which is extremely fast. Feel free to set Augur Seeker over anything you don't want. You can also use it as a hit inherit primer. Shiver also works surprisingly well there. I would not recommend building for Fortifier if you wanna kill with his tricks, though if you want it just for the OG, go ahead. Something else you can do that I find really interesting is Conjunction Voltage build. It gives multi-shot and reload speed on Elec proc, stacks up to 40 times. So get 40 stacks with innate Elec, and then switch to heat or whatever, and when the timer is about to run out, you shoot an Elec 1 and boom, repeat. The DPS is lower than the first build, but it's still really usable. I do not build for heat because I wanted viral to apply as much as possible. It offers a pretty active gameplay since you need to check your conjunction stacks often and switch properly between elements. I'm not too sure about what to put over Galv Diffusion, but we already get a lot of multi-shot from the arcane, so I tried a bunch of stuff, like more crit rate, pistol elementalist, but they perform quite similarly, though for you can run Hornet Strike if you don't have a Riven with damage. But yeah, if you don't run a Riven or buffs, this build might not work for you. Okay, now the Acuity build. It does work pretty well too. I also tested an Enervate build. It's quite enjoyable and efficient. Now, the various buffs. Roar is a really nice candidate, since you can apply a whole bunch of dots. Then the usual Nourish if you replace Modded Viral for cover. Xata is quite sweet too. Since it applies multiple elements, you can also run a subsume that would apply elements. So it can be Shock, Smite, Nourish again, Thermo, Thunder. They almost all require their augments though. Now for less conventional things you can do. The mecha set goes really well with the Hystrix, so running a Kubro or Predacite helps a lot with making it nuke, especially the Pharaoh Predacite. On top of that, you can run Expedite Suffering too, which turn all dots into one big tick. You might as well try Revenant specifically, because we have to do Revenant propaganda here. Now, I'd be a criminal if I were to make a video about a cool DPS secondary without mentioning the queen of the secondaries, Yareli. On top of that, her prime will come out very soon. Let's not forget Arcane Pistolier to fix the ammo issue, as well as energized munitions. And well, since we are doing this, we can also run Arcane Velocity for a big fire rate boost. For the Acuity build, you can run an Adarza Kavat, and Arcane Avenger too, with Combat Discipline. Anyway, for once, armor stripping and priming aren't needed. Thank you for watching. Now you're a triplefin Blenny. Remember to have fun. Adios.